right, hello there. Welcome to our new English Snacks episodes, the podcast where today we chat about life in Ireland and help you improve your English along the way. I'm John, and I'm here with my good friend Mona.
Hiya! Yeah, I'm Mona. And before John gets any mad ideas, I should mention I've got 2 toddlers at home who've already destroyed 1 pair of wellies this week.
Perfect, because today we're talking about Irish weather and getting outside. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's been lashing rain for 3 days straight, but hear me out.
Oh no, here we go. John's about to convince us all that a bit of drizzle never hurt anyone.
Look, I'm telling you, Mona, this weekend would be perfect for a day trip to Wicklow. The mountains, the fresh air, it's exactly what we all need after being stuck indoors.
Wicklow? John, have you looked outside? It's absolutely bucketing down. And I mean proper Irish rain. The kind that soaks you through your coat, your jumper, and somehow gets into your socks.
Right. But that's character. That's what makes it an adventure. Plus, you know what they say. There's no such thing as bad weather, only...
Only inappropriate clothing. Yeah, I've heard that one before, but let me tell you what happened last time I took the kids to the Phoenix Park in weather like this.
Go on then.
So we're all kitted out, right? Proper rain gear, wellies, the works. My 3-year-old, Emma, she spots this massive puddle. And I'm talking like a small lake here. And before I can say, don't you dare, she's face first in the muck.
Ha! Brilliant! That's exactly the spirit I'm talking about.
Spirit? John, I spent 40 minutes in the car park trying to clean mud out of her ears. Her ears! And my 2-year-old, Liam, he starts wailing because his sister's having all the fun, so he throws himself down in the mud too.
Right, fair enough. But think about the memories they'll have and the stories. Like when they're older, they'll be telling their own kids about the day mom let them play in the mud.
Let them? John, there was no letting involved. It was pure chaos. But okay, I'll give you that. Emma still talks about her mud bath adventure.
Exactly. And imagine what stories you'd have from Glendalough. Picture this. The lakes, the ancient monastery, maybe a bit of mist rolling over the water.
Mist? John, that's not mist. That's fog. Thick, can't see your hand in front of your face fog. And you know what toddlers do in fog?
What do they do?
They disappear. 1 minute, they're right beside you. The next, they've wandered off to investigate a sheep or chase a seagull. I'd spend the whole day in a panic.
But that's where you get those little rains, isn't it? Problem solved. Look, Mona, I'm not saying it's easy, but the kids would love it. Fresh air, exercise, proper Irish countryside.
Rains? You want me to put my children on leads like dogs? John, you're mental.
I'm practical. And think about it. What's the alternative? Staying inside all weekend, kids bouncing off the walls, everyone getting cabin fever?
Well, okay, that's a fair point. Emma did ask me yesterday why we can't go on adventures like Peppa Pig, and Liam's been building mountains out of sofa cushions.
See, they want adventure, and Ireland's got so much to offer. What about Killarney, the Ring of Kerry, or even just a quick trip to the Burren? Imagine their faces when they see those stone formations.
The Burren? In this weather? John, they'd think we'd taken them to the moon. But, I mean, when you put it like that... No, wait, have you forgotten about the car journey? 2 hours with 2 toddlers asking, are we there yet, every 5 minutes?
Right, but that's part of it. Road trip snacks, singing songs, playing I Spy. I spy with my little eye something beginning with sheep.
You make it sound so lovely, John, but you've never tried to change a nappy in a car park in the lashing rain or dealt with a full meltdown because someone dropped their teddy in a puddle.
Look, I'll make you a deal. What if I research some places with indoor options nearby, like proper visitor centers with cafes and toilets and changing facilities?
Now you're talking sense. And hot chocolate. There has to be hot chocolate involved.
Deal. Hot chocolate and maybe even some cake. And if the weather's terrible, we can always duck inside. But if it clears up, even for half an hour.
All right. You're very persuasive. I'll give you that. But I'm bringing extra clothes for everyone. And wipes. Lots and lots of wipes.
Brilliant! See, I knew you'd come around. The kids are going to love it, and you'll have some proper stories to tell.
Right. Well, that's all we have time for today on English Snacks. I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about, from muddy adventures to castle visits and everything in between.
Actually, before we wrap up, I should tell you about my own disaster story from last month. I went hiking in the Dublin Mountains with my mate Dave, thinking we were all prepared with our fancy hiking boots and everything. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, learning English is about having real conversations like this one. Don't worry about being perfect. Just get out there and practice.
Oh, no. Here we go. Let me guess. The weather turned and you got caught in a proper downpour? And if you're planning your own Irish adventure, let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear your stories. Muddy disasters and all.
Worse, it started off grand, beautiful morning, not a cloud in the sky. We're walking up towards the Hellfire Club, having the chat, feeling all smug about our preparation. Then this fog rolls in, and I mean proper thick fog, like walking through soup.
Until next time, this is John.
Oh God, I can see where this is going. Did you get lost? And Mona. Stay dry, everyone. Well, try to, anyway. Slan for now.
Lost? We spent 3 hours going in circles. Dave kept insisting he knew a shortcut, but we ended up at the same stone wall 4 different times. By the time we found our way back to the car park, we were soaked through and my phone was completely dead. Thank God for that little tea shop at the bottom of the hill.
And you're trying to convince me to take 2 toddlers into this? John, at least you and Dave could fend for yourselves. Imagine if Emma had been with you. She would have started collecting rocks and we'd have been there until Christmas.
Right, but that's exactly why we need to plan properly. Look, let me tell our listeners what they really need for Irish outdoor adventures with kids. First, and I can't stress this enough, check the weather forecast. Not just the general forecast, but the mountain weather if you're heading to places like Wicklow or Kerry.
Absolutely. And if you're bringing kids, pack like you're going on a military expedition. I'm talking spare clothes for everyone. And I mean everything, not just an extra jumper. Full change of clothes in waterproof bags. Trust me on this one.
Good point. And always bring more food than you think you'll need. Kids get hungry at the weirdest times, and there's nothing worse than a hangry toddler halfway up a hill. Sandwiches, fruit, plenty of water, and definitely some emergency chocolate, for the parents as much as the kids.
You know what, John? You've actually got me thinking about some places that might work. What about Powers Court Gardens? They've got those gorgeous waterfalls, but also proper paths and facilities. And if it starts raining, there's the house to explore.
Yes, Powers Court is brilliant for families. And the kids would love the Japanese gardens, all those little bridges and hidden paths. Plus, there's a proper cafe with decent coffee and cake. See? I told you we could make this work.
Okay, and what about Kilruddery House in Bray? They've got those amazing formal gardens and the kids can run around the lawns. Plus, if the weather turns, Bray's right there with the seafront and plenty of indoor options.
Perfect. And don't forget about Castletown House and Selbridge, massive parkland for the kids to explore. And they do family events throughout the year. Or if you really want an adventure, what about New Grange? The kids would be fascinated by the Stone Age monument, and the visitor center is fantastic.
Right, and since this is English snacks, we should probably teach our listeners some proper Irish vocabulary for talking about the weather. John, how would you describe today's weather in true Irish fashion?
Right, well, it's not just raining, is it? It's lashing down or bucketing. If it's really bad, we might say it's pelting or that it's coming down like stair rods. And if it's that fine, persistent rain that soaks you through, that's a soft day, which always confuses tourists.
Exactly. And don't forget spitting. That's when it's just starting to rain lightly. Or when someone says, it's fierce mild today. That means it's surprisingly warm. And my personal favorite, it's a great drying day, which means it's windy enough to dry your washing, even if it doesn't look particularly pleasant outside.
And what about the gear you need, Mona? How would you tell someone to dress for an Irish adventure?
Right, well, first thing, you need proper wellies, that's Wellington boots for anyone not familiar, and a mac or a waterproof, that's your rain jacket. Don't forget your jumper, that's what we call a sweater, and if it's really cold, you might need a woolly hat and maybe a scarf as well.
And remember the golden rule of Irish dressing. Layers. You might start the day in a heavy coat, but by afternoon you're down to your t-shirt because the weather's changed completely. We always say, be prepared for 4 seasons in one day here in Ireland.
You know what, John? I'm actually getting excited about planning some proper family adventures. But when's the best time of year for outdoor activities with kids in Ireland? I mean, obviously summer is ideal, but what about the other seasons?
Great question. Spring can be gorgeous. April and May especially, when everything's green and fresh and the bluebells are out. Autumn's spectacular too, with all the colors in the trees. Even winter has its charm. Christmas markets, shorter walks followed by cozy pub lunches. The key is adjusting your expectations and your gear to match the season.
You know what? You've actually convinced me, John. Emma's been asking about castles lately. Maybe we could start with somewhere like Trim Castle or Kilkenny. Proper history, but not too demanding for little legs. And if it rains, well, at least there are ruins to shelter under.
That's the spirit. And for our international listeners thinking of visiting Ireland with kids, don't be put off by the weather warnings. Some of our best family memories happen when things don't go exactly to plan. The Irish weather keeps us humble and makes every sunny moment feel like a gift.
And remember, if you're learning English and planning to visit Ireland, don't be shy about asking locals for directions or recommendations. We love a good chat about the weather and our favorite spots. Just be prepared for detailed instructions involving landmarks like the pub that used to be painted green and turn left at the big tree.
Absolutely. And don't be surprised if you ask for directions to one place and end up getting recommendations for 3 other places you absolutely must visit while you're in the area. That's just the Irish way. We want to make sure you don't miss anything special. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed today's chat. We'll be back next week with more adventures and English practice.